we are going to have to wrap up, but before we do, very quickly, and before we get to what you were saying earlier, which I think is very important, 1 point each that you'd like everyone to take away. We had someone that really wanted to contribute but couldn't be here today. That was part of a major story that was in the media this year regarding mental health, and that was the case of Brandon Riot. Some of you may know, so this was I believe he was around the age of 15, sorry. He was a child of a Sikh Punjabi background that went to school in Leicester, and because of bullying, he ultimately killed himself. And it was national news because of the fact, as here in his mother, Meena Riot's words, she was really aware that he was repeatedly saying he wanted to kill himself, and she knew that he was serious about it. She found that she didn't get any help from professionals, that they refused to section him on their based on their own kind of examinations, if you will, and she just basically felt there was no help. And that came from both the Sikh community and the mental health services. So I'd like our panel, I know this is really kind of probably the wrong thing to do, to ask you to summarize what we could do within like less than a minute each. But if you could, just bearing in mind that we don't want to keep people here for too long, and then we'll move on to our last point. So for those that are in a position of the most serious mental health issue where they feel somebody is going to commit suicide, they don't have help from within the Sikh community, they don't have help from the National Health Service, in that they're not able to keep their child away from a situation, or their any relation, any family or friend from a situation where they could actually kill themselves, what do they do? If we want to start from Sandeep Kaur. And again, I know it's a really difficult question, and I know giving it 1 minute is, not doing it any justice whatsoever. But again, this is just the starting point, guys. This isn't the be-all and end-all. And Sikh PA, we're not trying to hold a pattern on discussions on Sikh community mental health issues. So please do go forward. But yeah, sorry, Sandeep Kaur.
I think if if the mental health professionals aren't going to listen, or the Sikh community is not going to listen, your only option would be to call the police. I mean, if you're that worried, that's what you would do as a parent. I'm not saying that it's the parent's fault, but I guess that's what comes to my mind.
Do you have any idea of what the police would do in that situation, or does anyone?
Refer to A&E.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? Do you want?
Refer to A&E.
I'll refer to A&E. Okay.
If I do get a client who's in that position, depending on which clinic I'm in, it varies according to from clinical practice to practice. So if I'm working in hospital, it's quite easy to get psych liaison on board. But if I'm working in a charity-based clinic, ultimately we can't sell no one that they can't do what they want to do, because at the end of the day, if someone's telling me as a professional they want to commit suicide, that could be one or two things. It's actually a cry of help, that I need something to be done, or actually, what do I do next? And as a professional, I have to then do a risk assessment to make sure, what have they done it before? Are there medications that they can use? What steps have they got? And biggest thing in most suicidal cases is what prevents this person from actually committing suicide. So if it's a mother, what have they taken any steps for the children, or how it works? So you've got to look at the dynamics as a whole. Suicide it's probably the last form and last cry when it comes to an individual. You get to a pinnacle of your life where that's it. There is no more. So you'd rather die than actually go forward. To get to that stage, it's very, very heartbreaking. I've actually been in a few situations where it's happened in a clinical profession, and it really gets to. And then, from a professional point of view, we're thinking, actually, where could we go wrong? What could we have done? There isn't a right or wrong answer. You have to sometimes go with your gut feeling, and it's not nice ringing up a phone to a psychiatrist and getting someone sectioned, because you take away the freedom, you take away what, but sometimes that may be the best thing for them, for that time, that the time frame they're in, is actually to get that help that is needed.
I think, we'll go from there. Baljeet Singh, from your perspective as a Sikh community figure and also as a Pracharak, if somebody's in that situation, just to re-emphasize, if we could try your very best to keep that answer within a minute.
I'd like to give an answer to that with my final wrap-up, to be honest. So I'd like to conclude it all together.
Benji, if you'd like to somebody's in that position where they don't know what to do to prevent someone committing suicide?
Yeah, get them to a place of safety. That is A&E usually, but I know the barriers that you can have there as well. So sometimes you need to shout and scream until you're heard. That can also be difficult, but don't leave that person alone. Keep them with somebody. If you're tired, if you're absolutely it's very draining to kind of be with that person who is ultimately wanting to kill themselves, and you're telling them how they should live, then find somebody else in the community, but don't leave them alone. That's the kind of best way, but I know that those also have their limitations, so it's just get them to a place of safety, A&E, if not, then other people in the community, family, friends that can help in that situation.
Benji, and if you feel it's been covered already, then...
Yeah, I suppose it has been said the place of safety is important, and just the repetitiveness, which I feel like it's quite heartbreaking to hear that she wasn't being heard. I think the police is a little bit tricky, because if you're in your own home, the police will need a warrant, and I don't think it's as clear as them being taken away. So just being mindful of being aware of what the police's restrictions are, because they don't always sort of swoop in and help. They have their own limitations as well. But yeah, I think you're right, Benji. I think the more sort of noise and support asked for.
Cool. If we, sorry, we're going to have to just wrap up now. We're coming to 9 o'clock. I don't want to keep anyone too long. But if we could do, again now, as Benji requested, one point that you'd like the audience here to go away with in regards to what we've been discussing about mental health issues and progression for the Sikh community and dealing with them. If you could start with yourself, just Paul. Cool.
I suppose I'm a big advocate of alternative ways of accessing therapies in terms of arts therapies, being creative, and being, if you could take something away from this, is just to think outside the box into what is available, and just be open to that. And I think sometimes being creative in yourself and maintaining that can be very, very helpful for your own mental health. So something along those lines.
Alternative methods of dealing with mental health. Dr. Abdul Kaur?
Yeah, mine is be non-judgmental, let it go, be open, listen, and also be trusting.
Ajit Singh?
Sorry, can you just...
Yeah, Harpal Singh?
I'm just echo with Benji over there. First thing is work on denial. There's a lot of things that we need to do. Second thing is don't be judgmental according to what's been done, how things are. Third thing is seek awareness. And the fourth one is accept it.
Okay, for me, I think to be more mindful of the language we use to describe mental health, and to kind of raise that awareness a bit more around, what depression is, what anxiety is, what schizophrenia is, and make it more accessible to people who might not understand English. I think that for me would be important.
So I'm going to take a bit more than 30 seconds or a minute. And so for me, the wrap up for this is that everything that's been shared here now, the advice that's been given is very much, probably it's good to kind of like start thinking in a different way, and it's for everyone in here, and it's for those that are listening at home as well. But as a Panth, as being Guru Gobind Singh Ji's children, we need to think long term now. So we actually need to think of an actual solution. So what we need to start doing is programming our mind first of all, and we every day in the Ardas we all say Raj Karega Khalsa. So we need to first understand what it means when we say Raj Karega Khalsa, and that means that we're going to have our own rule and we are going to be independent. Being independent means that we're going to stand on our own feet as a Panth, and we're going to have our own programs in place. So that's not going to start in 10 years down the line. We're not going to have a little bit something happening here, a little bit something happening there. We're going to start that now, and we're going to put something in place on the base of Gurbani. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that Nanak Raj Chalaya. It says in Gurbani that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has already created a kingdom and an independent rule. So that means we've got to now use the gun and use the qualities that sit in this room or sit in within the Panth, whoever's listening at home, And it's not just what Benji is doing a little bit there or what Benji is doing a little bit there. So we need to now create one actual charity organization where everybody gets to know of this organization. It's plastered in every gurdwara, in every Sikh channel, wherever possible, but the base of working on that is from Gurbani. Because if as Sikhs we're not using Gurbani, we failed. And so that's got to be our base. And then that organization has got then branches within it to say, somebody gets assessed and they'll say, well, actually, for you, we've got someone that can do art therapy, but it's under one bracket. It's not that Benji is doing a little bit on her own over there and nobody really gets to know about Benji. But this, because of the platform we've got as an organization and that we are quite big out there, we can create something that somebody can come and gets to know about, and then they'll get assessed and say, okay, art therapy for you, and this is what you need. You need a bit of CBT, but CBT based off Gurbani doesn't have to always be based off something else, because the things we've got to remember is that this is a system I've been through personally, and you go to your GP, that doesn't mean next week you're going to be put on a program. You could be waiting 6 months. Within 6 months, you could have committed suicide and you're gone. By 3 months, they've put you on a plan for CBT, but you've deteriorated so much. By that time, you need to go to psychiatrist and you need medication by then. But you wasn't there when you first cried out for help. This isn't to undermine any professional. This is actually to uplift Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Khalsa and to say that we have got the power within the Panth to create our own systems, and within that one system is then alternative therapies, whatever it may be, is then something close to CBT but based off Gurbani. And this isn't far-fetched, this isn't out of reach, this is something we could start today after this event, come collectively together, and not to say, and one thing that isn't dealt with professionals, so if I've gone through a breakthrough, nobody's going to sit down my wife, no psychologist is going to sit down my wife or my 4-year-old son or my dad that's in his 60s to say, well, we need to teach you of what not to say around that person, of how to act around that person. Don't tell them to snap out of it, because that means nothing to them. Don't tell them that it's gone on for long enough, now get over it, because that's not going to work as well. Okay, so, but if we create our own system, we can create whatever we want. We can say, actually, we've got someone that's going to deal with your whole family as well. They're going to treat your family. They're going to tell them of what to speak and what to say around that person is going through a mental health issue, which my GP didn't offer, which my psychologist didn't offer, which a psychiatrist is not going to offer. But they're needed in that community. But we, as a Panth, can create the perfect system from the perfect Bani that we have. So that's Khalsa Raj. If we've got an independent system in place for mental health, that's one thing. For Sikh education, that's another thing. That is having independence. That is having Khalsa Raj. And it's already started by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. We just need to continue it.
Now, I think that those are definitely words that are very fitting to end this whole program with. I urge everyone here to feel free to spend time outside, connect with the individuals that you've heard talking about what they're doing or what they plan to do. If you can offer help in any way, or if you have any questions, please do so. Just before you leave, we're going to have a Sukh Sodhi wrap up, and I just want to re-emphasize the fact that we're only able to hold events like this as an organization funded by a charity based on donations. We invest very little in anything other than people, but there'll be a bucket on the way out. Any contributions that you can make for, it costs close to £800 to organize this event and book this venue. Any contributions that you can make would be really appreciated. But Sukh will now close the event for us.
Just wanted to say that this isn't the last event that we're going to have. Something we want to talk about in January, continuing on the theme of sort of taboo topics, is Khalistan, and actually the stigma of Khalistan. Why is there a stigma about talking about it, and ways in which we can challenge and address this? So this isn't just a one-off event from Sikh PA. this is part of a series that we want to create so that we can actually talk about issues in our own community amongst ourselves before then we have to go and represent them to the media. And I'd just like to say a really big thank you to everybody on the panel and to everybody in the audience as well. This isn't an easy topic to discuss. And you know, it's hard for us, but it's also harder for the victims. It's much harder for the victims to go through than it is for us to discuss it. So I think everyone can take a lot away from this evening, and all that remains is for me to thank Akal Purkh for making this happen. And so on that note, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.